r/AskReddit, winning an argument against a genius is hard, winning an argument against a idiot is impossible. How did you learn this the hard way?
I manage a pizza restaurant and one day this customer came in wanting to return a pizza for a refund, insisting he ate less than 2 slices. There are 8 slices on a pizza here and he had 3.5 slices left, so obviously he had way more than 2 slices, and I had a really strict manager and refund policy at the time, so there was absolutely nothing I could do for him. He kept arguing with me saying he only ate 2 slices when I had the pizza right in front of me, and I kept telling him that there are 8 slices to a pizza. We went back and forth for a while with him insisting that I didn't know how to count. I've been here for 3 years, I know how many slices we cut our pizzas into. But he wasn't having any of it. I never won the argument. Eventually he just got so aggressive and violent the police had to be called.
My fruitcaking mother-in-law. When presented with literal facts, she says, "I just don't believe that."
When presented with contradictory evidence, my stepfather used to say, "Are you calling me a liar?"
I worked retail.
The time he proved me wrong, I accepted the new information, apologized and moved on. The time I proved him wrong, he blocked me.
Once worked with a guy who, by his own admission, would only pick arguments to get his jollies. Dude once tried to pick a fight over the weather forecast. "Nice day, isn't it?" "Yeah, well, my app says 60% chance of showers." "What the frick are you doing, saying it's a nice day, when it's going to rain?" "Relax, dude, I was just making conversation." "Oh, so now you're trying to change the subject because I've confronted you with the truth." I just stopped talking to him.
During my second-year calculus class, one got really lost on one topic and went to the professor for help. I explained my reasoning, and what I did. He took a look and started making notes, looking more and more concerned as he went. Eventually he said, "Aha! You made 2 mistakes that coincidentally cancelled out. Thank God." For a second there I thought I was going to have to co-author a paper with you. I love the fact that he teaches math at the university level, and for 1 second believed that some dumbass undergrad had discovered something unknown to math. That is why he is a genius, and one of my favorite all-time professors. He does not believe he is infallible, unlike idiots who can't believe they are wrong.
One of my friends was singing the Minion song, Banana, and I told him that they ripped it off from the Beach Boys, and he looked at me and said, I'm pretty sure you're wrong, it's the movie that created the song." Literally showed him the song Barbara Ann that was released in 1965, and he still wouldn't believe me.
I mean, technically, Beach Boys definitely created the tune. But the ABC song and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star are the same tune and are considered different songs. I don't know which came first. So I'd argue the movie did create the Banana song, they just ripped off the tune.
My 5th grade teacher was convinced that the light emitted by stars is actually the sunlight being reflected off of them. Before you ask, 1. He was not a flat earthed. 2. This was in 2010. 3. Although this was in Africa, he still had access to the internet, encyclopedias, TV and other sources of information that would tell him how stupid he is.
When a guy said, "I can't understanding your reasoning. You're putting the horse in front of the cart," I simply said, "Exactly," and let it go at that.
A guy walks into a bar. The bartender is a horse. He says, "Oh, hey Renee, you want the usual?" Renee says, "Yeah sure." Why the long face? The horse and bar disappear because they were never in fact real, and the only thing that definitely did exist was Renee. You see, it's a joke about Rene Descartes, but if I told you that at the beginning I would be putting Descartes before the horse.
By commenting on social media, especially Reddit. A few Reddit Hivemind ideas that you'll never change. 1. STEM major is the only way you should go if you go university, else trade school. We shouldn't address the cost of higher education, because that would be bad too. Paying anything above the absolute minimum price you can get an item for is wrong. Any quality or feature differences on a more expensive is dumb to buy, and only marketing tactics, especially for clothing, footwear, and cars, gaming-related purchase excluded. 3. All debt is bad, no conditions need be considered. 4. Being an extrovert means you're hiding from your demons and weaker because you need social interaction, a support network. 5. The upper middle class starts once you're only a few thousand above the mathematical median income of an area, because literally the only jobs that pay more than $50,000 are doctors and lawyers. This discussion should also always be had with no external factors considered, for some reason. 6. Anything job-related should be based solely on hard skills. Anyone who has soft skills at a higher position clearly doesn't deserve it. 7. Weed is always good. Drug driving laws don't need to exist because you're actually a better driver on weed, and businesses should offer it like coffee since it gets you to the same level of intoxication. 8. Everyone should only want a PC and Android, never a Mac and iPhone 9. Couch multiplayer split is not a valid want in a game. Who would even want to use the same TV? You might have to settle for 1080p renderings. But every game should be MMO. This may be a bit of an outdated one, but was very prevalent in the early mid-0. Going to ignore politics, because it's a massive clisteguise in all directions here.
If you have ever worked a retail or customer service job, you learn that on day 1. By day 7 you will wish torture was legal.
It is. It just turns out you're the victim.
So, this is only partially my story. I was sitting at a train station after visiting my sister at her university when this woman comes up to me and starts telling me about how she hates cell phones and how she can feel the cell phone signals going through her brain when people are making a call and how it gives her headaches. She went on and on about how she didn't have this problem before cell phone and that there were more and more cell phones these days bothering her. She was adamant that cell phones be banned in public spaces. I answered with something along the lines of, yep, there are more cell phones around now. It is kind of annoying when people make loud phone calls in public spaces. She stood there kind of waiting for me to say something else, but the train came and we both got on it. On the train, there was some guy taking a very loud call. The woman walks up to him and starts telling him that the cell phone signals are hurting her. He starts arguing with her that that's nonsense. 2 minutes later they are in a full-on screaming match. I just stood quietly by and was grateful that I had the sense not to argue with her.
Talking to my stepfather about literally anything but most specifically cars. I drive a 2012 Dodge Avenger and anytime anything happens to my car that needs a repair, even maintenance like brakes, wheel speed sensors, little dumb stuff, he goes on about how it's 'cause I pay for an overpriced frick box. The car has been pretty reliable for me and I've obviously had to pay for things over the years but nothing big that shouldn't have happened. Just the other day I paid $1,000 for a rear axle brake job including calipers and he went on a rant about how if I drove a Ford it would be so much cheaper. Back in his day blah blah blah. He doesn't even own a car, and hasn't for 10 years cause he doesn't like driving sober. Sorry for the rant, just irritated and annoyed of having my car attacked when I personally like it.
If there's one thing I've learned from old car guys, it's that whatever breaks on your car isn't because you hit a pothole too fast, didn't keep up on maintenance, or just normal wear and tear. It's a direct result of whatever logo is on the front of the car. Oh, what's that, your Ford spun out and hit a tree? Wouldn't have happened if you bought a Chevy.
I corrected a study Peter showed on Twitter about the amount of fecal matter found in meat, saying that this new law Trump made now proves there's poop in the meat you eat. I stated that almost all food has small traces of it, vegetables included. The FDA allows a certain percentage of fecal matter as well as bug particles in almost everything, such as chocolate. For example, the average chocolate bar contains 8 insect parts. Anything less than 60 insect pieces per 100 grams of chocolate, 2 chocolate bars worth, is deemed safe for consumption by the Food and Drug Administration. It's important to also wash vegetables and fruits before consuming them because traces of E. coli, which is found in feces, can be traced into the dirt it's grown in. Not just the dirt, but water used for irrigation, organic fertilizers, or droppings from birds and other animals that go into fields. This was brought up to attention after an outbreak occurred in the UK where several people caught it. I got blocked for hate speech.
I remember when I was a kid back when I did 4-H, I was maybe like 8 or 9 and this group of people with PETA shirts surrounded me and basically interrogated me about why I kept animals. They then tried to force their way back into the cage area and release a bunch of animals. A few others from the group straight up just started beating the holy cow out of one kid. We ended up having to have police officers stationed in all the 4-H barns because these animal rights groups would go around assaulting, harassing, and threatening children. The ASPCA was no better. They basically did all the same stuff but were smart enough to bounce before the cops got there. Ever since then I lost all respect for animal welfare groups, they all are willing to assault or harass children, and it's disgusting.
Discussing in the comments section of political subreddits.
There are 2 topics which I try to never comment on. Politics, religion, emo, only 2 topics that never have a resolve.